Hello and welcome to the first edition of Every Voice Matters. Every Voice Matters is one of the anchor programs of Fat Corner Project. It's an online panel discussion and interview programs that centers on conversations around topics around politics, economy, nation building, governance, and leadership in Africa. The core aim of the program is to educate African youths and enlighten them and equip them with the knowledge they need to be agents of change. Today, our topic for today's conversation is key acquisition and youth empowerment in Nigeria. My name is Gideon Uguniye. I'm the project lead of Fat Corner Project, and I'm going to be the moderator of today's conversation. Before I introduce my guests on the program for today, let me quickly give you some statistics on youth unemployment in Nigeria as a background to our conversation of today. So the number of persons in the economically active and working age population, that is the age of 15 to 64 years of age, as at the second quarter of 2020, is 116,871,186 people in Nigeria. Out of this number, the number of people in the labor force is estimated to be 80,291,894 people. That is people who are willing to work and who are able to work. And currently, Nigerian unemployment rate as at the second quarter of 2020 stood at 21.7%. The Nigerian underemployment rate is about 28.6%. That is the statistics of those who are in jobs that are underutilized their education, their time, and their experience. So we have a combined number of 55.7%. If you look at this is statistics from National Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria. So if you look at the statistics from 2016, you see we have an unemployment rate of 12.1% of the population. And 2018, we've moved up to 23.1% of the population of Nigeria. And today we have a 27.1% of our population unemployed. So what are the key statistics? The youths are the hardest hit of these economic woes. The highest unemployment rate was recorded for youths that are between the age of 15 and 24 years old, which stood at 40.8% of that population. And that is followed by people within the age of 25 and 34 years old, which stood at 30.7%. Those that have NCE and OND and nursing degree recorded an unemployment rate of about 30.8%. And also we have those that have second degrees, master degrees, with unemployment rate of about 22.9%. We have unemployment among people that have PhD, which stood at 23.3%. So what does this mean? Let's quickly look at the statistics with the current administration of President General Muhammadu Buhari. In 2006, we have youth unemployment around 6% up to 2008. And today we have youth unemployment in Nigeria at a rate of 14.17%. So let's get to the conversation proper. I will now introduce my panel members for today's conversation, who will be sharing their thoughts with us on our topic for today. The first person on the panel is Mr. Afolabi Sonny. Mr. Afolabi is the CEO of Afotit Nigeria Limited, which specializes in the supply of agricultural raw materials to food and livestock feed companies in Nigeria since 2011. Is a holder of Bachelors of Agriculture and Masters of Science in Agronomy at the Department of Agronomy, University of Ibadan, Nigeria, where he is also currently a PhD candidate. He's also a research fellow with Genetic Resource Center of the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, in Ibadan, Nigeria. I also have with me on the panel Mr. Ebuka Obi. Mr. Ebuka is the CEO of Fueti Technology Solutions and Bloom Africa, with over 10 years experience helping small and medium business to grow. His company provides solutions which are currently operational in the lottery, finance, health, and educational industries. In August 28, 2020, launched Fuet PAI, which is a platform for artificial intelligence for where organizations can partake of a rich set of artificial intelligence engine. He also runs Bloom Africa, which is an online school for young people to add values and expand their revenue margins through the knowledge of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, foreign exchange. In 2020, he was recognized by Forbes as, and was part of Forbes Nigeria Acceleration Program 2020. He holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and has backed some professional certificate in information technology. And also on the panel, I have Mr. Boboye Adeniji, who is a business advisory consultant with focus on process and strategy for business growth. He's a business analyst with focus in business intelligence, process development, strategy design, innovation, management, organizational analysis, monitoring, and evaluation, and so on and so forth. He's a fellow of Carrington Youth. He's also a fellow of Youth African Leaders Initiative, Regional Leadership Center, West Africa. He's also a fellow of African Young Leaders Leadership Program. He's a graduate of computer science with Executive Master Certificate in Project Management from Project Management College, UK. He also holds an executive mini MBA in Leadership and Management from Accra Business School, Ghana. He is also a member of Nigerian Institute of Management and member of the board of Boardroom Institute, Ghana. So today, let's get into the conversation. So I've given you the statistics on youth unemployment in Nigeria to provide a form of background into our conversation for today, so that we know why we need to empower Nigerian youth to become agents of change and to halt economic woes in Nigeria. So let me start with you, Mr. Ebuka. Let me start with you. As a representative of an average Nigerian graduate, what would you say is the major contributor to the growing unemployment rate in Nigeria?
Okay, fine. Thank you, Mr. Gideon. There are four basic things I could liken to be causing the whole unemployment, fast-growing unemployment rate in Nigeria. First has to do with the population growth rate. So even UN forecasted for 2050, that's exactly 30 years from now, Nigeria should be having a population of 410 million people. That's quite double the current size we have now. The last population census was seen to be 193 million people with a growth rate of 3.2% annually. And this is very, very crazy. So population growth rate is key. Then another thing has to do with education. So education has really deepened the poverty curve, has really deepened the rate of unemployment. It has blindfolded a lot of indigents, Nigerians, male, females. You see a lot of blindness comes out from poor education. But, even from the population growth rates, the use of contraceptives, antenatal care, and many more others, you just see people have some very dirty beliefs, and this has a lot to do with their level of exposure. So another thing I could also liken that affects this whole youth unemployment thing has to do with corruption and nepotism. That's the third item. So corruption, this has really eaten several sectors. both from governance, public sectors, private sectors. And there has been a challenge with this whole corruption, or this whole corrupt practices of leaders that the last 2017 report that NBS released, the last time they checked corrupt practices, it was seen that an average of 117 million bribes is being paid on an annual basis, and this is very, very crazy, and which shows about 8 to 9% increase from what was discovered as of 2016. So corruption is a very, very key thing. That also further deepens the curve of this unemployment scenario that happens in Nigeria. So I've talked on population growth, I've talked on education, talked on corruption and nepotism, and the last is enabling environment. So America has an estimated population of 331 million people thereabouts, with 32.5 million registered businesses. And Nigeria has an estimated population of about 206 million people as of 2020, with 3.1 million registered businesses. Enabling environment is very key. What's the government doing? The cost of light to run businesses, the cost of these materials, and all of that. So down from political factors, environmental factors, legal factors, and many other factors. So there's no enough enabling environment that could aid businesses get to profit more, expand their revenue, expand their margins, bring in more workforce. So this further heightens the unemployment curve. So these four things I see to be very potent to what we're currently seeing today with the unemployment curve for Nigeria today.
Thank you very much, Ebuka, for that very interesting opening. You've given us an idea of what the problems are, the problem of educational crisis in the country, the problem of corruption, nepotism, the problem of population growth, which the United Nations has predicted that Nigerian population will surpass that of the United States of America in 2050. So that is about 30 years to come, with us a predicted population of about 450 million people. So this problem are there. The lack of jobs in Nigeria is unlikely to get better soon. The economy is currently in its worst recession in the last 4 decades. And because of shutdown of global oil economy, giving Nigeria dependence on the commodity as its biggest source of revenue. So let me come to you, Mr. Boboye. What do you see as the long-term consequences of these problems that has been highlighted by Ebuka? If these problems are not addressed, what do you see as the long-term consequences for the country?
Okay, Mr. Gideon. To put it short and simple, the long-term consequences will be increase in poverty, means of livelihood will be further indicators will be more negative than what we have if nothing is done. There'll be a lot of civil unrest, security will be threatened, ability to aspire for your dreams and pursue them become a marriage, because people are naturally, when people are not comfortable, it's naturally have a way of affecting the way you conduct your business in that particular environment. So basically, the consequences of not doing anything right now about some of these worrying statistics is not something that is good. It's not going to reset itself by itself. That means certain steps needs to be taken by those in authority and the individuals, organizations, the collective of the entire Nigeria populace and the people and government. They need to come out and realize that there's a problem. Like the first speaker said, all of these problems are real. And then we have a lot of businesses that are registered in Nigeria, but the majority of them, they either pack up shop within a very few years. And basically, we've observed this trend going on over and over again, and there's nothing. I think the government is not doing enough in the time past, up to now, However, with the advent of the last unrest, protests and stuff like that, what I have observed is that government has launched a lot of programs through the Ministry of Youth and Sport. They've launched a lot of programs to see how they can intervene in this particular problem. Because I think everybody is now, we have all come to that realization that there's a time bomb. We have our youth budge. Population is going to increase. That means the competition for resources will only increase. And if there are no opportunities, there are no equality, and then that means there'll be a problem. So basically, I think what government should do is to see how do we make better fiscal policy and better monetary policy, because real change only take place majorly at the policy level. And in Nigeria, we know our story are well documented. It's not that we are not good at making policies. However, we have to make more effective policies and also ensure that we implement them. That means when we are implementing this policy, it must be backed with the political will to see to its implementation. That means we must look at policy that enables and encourages small businesses and young men and women to go into business and thrive. That means we must encourage people to go into businesses that allow wealth to be distributed to the underserved communities. That means we must develop policies that ensure that people can live in the rural community and still get a living. That is enough for them to survive and achieve their dreams while they are there. That means we must create policies and implement them that enables businesses to stay afloat and be able to take care of their running costs in such a way that we don't escalate it. As it were, running a business in Nigeria is a lot more expensive than running it in other parts of the world. Because basically all the infrastructure that are needed for you to successfully run a business, you probably have to provide it for yourself. You have to run your gym, provide for water, provide for this. All these costs we build that up, and then they will eat up on your bottom line. And once you're unable to take care of your costs effectively, and there's no profit to cover for it, then that means in no time that business will go under, which has been the story of running a business of every businessman in Nigeria. So basically, if we want to actually address these consequences that may come from this present and the looming challenges that Nigeria is likely to face, I think it requires everybody, especially with government leading from the front, to see how we can change the entire narrative to ensure that businesses have become more sustainable, more profitable, and then the ease of doing business allows for business to also scale. Because we don't need small businesses alone, we need businesses that scale faster, because that's the way we can capture a lot of people. If we don't scale early enough, it might not also be good for us in the short time. In the medium time also, and in the long time, I think it can be a major problem. So businesses must be built, because if you look at some of the businesses we see in Japan, in China, some of them are launched 5 years, 6 years ago, and they're already big. So we must look at model like that enable our businesses to start small and grow rapidly fast. So that is just what I think we should do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Bobuyi. You have given us the consequences of all these economic challenges. We have more negative indices in terms of poverty, in terms of crime, and you've also made us to understand that businesses are struggling in Nigeria because we don't have adequate policy framework, and also conducive business environment for this business to thrive. I know that one of the areas that the past and the current administration in Nigeria have looked at is agriculture, to diversify the economy, to create more opportunities for young people to have business and be self-dependent. Agriculture is one key sector in Nigeria that has attracted attention of the past and the current administration. So I want to come to you, Afolabi, as a research fellow in IITA, and from your years of experience as an agricultural entrepreneur, do you think Nigerian youths are willing to participate in agriculture to halt the rising rate of unemployment in the country?
Thank you, Mr. Gideon. It is nice to be on this platform to actually share my personal experience and what I've been observing over the years as regards how prepared the youths are to actually embrace agriculture as a source of wealth generation. Let me just start from here. The way we go about agriculture in this country really makes it looks less attractive, despite the fact that I personally see it as a low-hanging fruit for the youth to actually embrace and generate sustainable incomes. Most times it's still manual labor, drudgery, and the world has actually moved beyond that. In fact, it has been opined that once you have a land that is over 2 acres, you have no business using manpower. You should use machineries, tractors, and the likes. So those are part of the problems we are having as a country. And actually, the government should actually come into this. But over the years, there's this thing that actually struck me in my mind, which is you've been talking about government this, right from my primary school education. Government is unable to provide this. Up to secondary school, you have the same thing. Even at tertiary institution, even up to masters, even up to PhD government. So, and if you've been trying something over the years and they are not forthcoming, I think you should begin to look more at the private sector. That's just my own opinion. You should begin to look more at the private sector because I, for one, I believe African governments are useless and they are not really to help the economy. And but that's factually most of the reason why we have a high level of unemployment and poverty in Africa. So it's a no-hanging fruit, just like I said, but the problem is how to go about it. Most people have brilliant ideas, they have brilliant suggestions, but of course, implementing it and making it a reality is also it's a major problem, especially for those that are from third world country, like us in Nigeria. So I for one, I suggest partnership among the youths. Let me just give you an example. If you are into partnership and value chain, if you are into fish production, for example, here in Ibadan, where I'm based in Nigeria, there's this roasted fish that people they sell now in sachets, 500, 1,000 per one. And I once advised some youths at a similar forum, sometimes last month, that why not go into it in such a way that some people are hearing the fish, while some people's business is buying it from those that are rearing it, roasting it and packaging it. And that way, it's a win-win situation. Instead of you trying to do everything yourself, despite the fact that there is no support. I always say this, that even the Nigerian system is skewed against the starters, the early business starters. The reason is this: if you approach the bank for facility, they won't give it to you because you don't have a track record. If you approach a major company to support you to buy your product, they will say they don't know you, they don't have a record of success. So they will not be willing to actually risk their own production because of you, because of your own uncertainty by their own definition. So like I said, there's a prospect, but how do you go about it? And I want to suggest partnership and of course private sector initiative. I for one, I find the government has a role to play, a very massive role to play, but we've been saying it for decades and then the roads are not there. So we want to let us look more into private sector for now. And just like I said, there's a lot of prospects and there's a low-hanging fruit for income generation and for self-employment. And again, there's this important thing I have to say. If you look at developed countries like the US, the UK, all these little small-scale and businesses, especially in the area of agriculture, they are a major contributor to the gross domestic GDP of those countries. That's the truth. Some of them, they pay tax, they employ people too. And of course, the business is sustainable. It's sustainable because the one food people must eat. That's the truth. You can decide not to wear clothes, to wear designer clothes, but you can't go for several days without it. So sorry about value chain. So that's just my own suggestions.
Thank you very much. That's a very beautiful contribution from you. You've made us to know that there are prospects in the agricultural sector for young Nigerians. The problem is that of the government is not providing the required support, policy framework, and also you have suggested partnership and value chain system as a way to go for youth to be engaged in agriculture and for them to have jobs. So let me come to you, Baboye. You are a business consultant, and you've heard what Mr. Falabi has said. So if youth want to go into partnership to tap into the opportunities that are there in the agricultural sector, what kind of advice or what kind of enlightenment or information you can give them on how to go about this sort of activities?
Thank you very much, Mr. Gideon, for that. And I love the contribution of the last speaker when he spoke about the need for partnership. So if I want to advise any businessman or young person that is willing to go into any business on how to announce the possibilities and the potential that are available or inherent in a partnering or collaborating with others to create a robust value chain so that they can capture the entire value in a particular line of business, I think they should first of all pick up their phone or check their website and reach out to Pest Consulting. Because basically that is the purpose of what we are doing. Exactly, Pest Consulting is not your conventional consulting firm. Basically what we are trying to do is because we have identified this particular problem, and then we see this gap. So we are solving two problems with one approach. The first problem is that businesses have to be better, and then people need to get employment. So because when you are talking about employment, you can't take employment out of context. You have to look at both demand and the supply side of employment. If you say you want people to have, you want to increase the employment and make it better, that means there's somebody taking them. There are some organizations, and then we know that the SMEs are they constitute the largest number of our businesses in Nigeria, over 80% of them, almost 90%, according to a publication of PwC. So it's a lot, and then unfortunately that is not happening now. So I think for young people that want to go into a particular business, that want to collaborate, because collaborating is one thing, but collaborating rightly is another thing. Because when you go into contracts with anybody to do any stuff, it has to be properly reviewed, such that what you are getting at the end of it is what you are getting there. It's well spelled out. Because we've had a situation whereby a young person having an idea, she was even fortunate to have investors because the idea was fantastic, and they were pumping in money. And but by the time we came on board to review their arrangement, their partnership, we realized that the money they were just giving to them, to that business, was just to enslave the business. It was a serious problem to get her out of that deal and get her a better deal, because it was not in any way designed to make the business sustainable. It was designed by the people that is funding that project. The contract that they gave to her was just to, get everything for themselves. And then, if she's able to get something, fine for her. If she's not, so it's a very hard work out there. So it's very important. The first thing I think every businessman, every young man, I want to go into business needs to do is to get a consultant to actually look at what you are trying to do, help you identify some of the things that you are not looking at, and then some areas that you're not paying attention to, so that they can point your attention to it and they guide you on how to go about it. The next thing that I want to talk about is on this issue of collaboration. Currently, we are developing a platform for SMEs where they can all come together for this particular stuff, whereby they can network to meet with each other for funding, to capture value, to sell, to lend, to do a lot of stuff together. Now for people that we already servicing, they have access to such platform. but we intend to make it public and for every registered business owner, maybe by March, so that others can also join and benefit from this platform. So basically, for you to run a successful enterprise in Nigeria, collaboration is very essential, but it must be rightly done. Otherwise, it will be a problem. Number two, it's also very essential for you to understand business very well, how to run a business. People make rational decisions, not economic decisions. In my engagement with the business owner, some of them, the best ones make rational decisions. The majority of them, they make emotional decisions. You have to constantly learn and understand the differences between emotional decision, rational decision, and economically viable decisions. So you must understand how to make these decisions and then what are the factors to consider. So if we are looking at the things to do, those are some of the things I think they should do. Collaboration is essential, but it must be well guided so that everybody is getting value for what he or she is bringing on the table. And also, there's need for training. Majority of us, when we started a business, the idea we observe from our engagement and research is that out of passion, you understand that there's a gap. But when you started 1, 2, 3 years down the line, there's need for you to also improve your capacity to also run that business efficiently. That's why training is also very essential to know what works and what is not working. That means evaluation has to be taking place as periodically for you to assess your progress and then know what's working, what is not working, and get advice where necessary. Also very essential that the legal framework with which you operate as a business must be clearly spelled out, because you cannot work outside the legal context in any business, because it's just you are a mistake away from closing down your business or your venture because of one mistake or the other. We've had several cases of people losing fortune and businesses they've created over a long period of time because of these small things that people don't take into proper context before starting out a business. So those are some of the areas I think businesses and young people should look at. I also feel that finally, I would like to add this to it. It's very essential and fundamental that we build a robust support system. That's why for every business that wants to survive, there's need for you to have a community of practice, whereby you get the adequate support that's required for you to leverage on the experiences of others in your business or in your field. And also, that will also guide the kind of collaboration that you go into and your engagement in such collaborations. And that's also very important for us to be able to design the entire value chain, understand where you want to play, and strategically position your organization and play therein. So those are my advices for the contribution that I have for people that want to run a business in a way that is more sustainable, and then over time be able to scale and be more profitable.
Thank you very much. That's a whole lot of information there for people that are aspiring to start their business in Nigeria. And I want to encourage Nigerian youths that are aspiring to start business to consult Pulse Consulting, who are experts in giving consultation to aspiring business owners. Another area I want us to look at in today's conversation as one of the areas for skill acquisition as a means of youth empowerment in Nigeria is ICT, Information and Communication Technology sector, which is seen as the fourth major contributor to the GDP of Nigeria. And it's also believed to be the fastest growing sector in the country. So exposing youth to IT skills, training, we believe will make them productive to engage in self-sustainable employment. So let me go to you, Mr. Ebuka. From your experience as an IT entrepreneur in Nigeria, what are the existing and future ICT opportunities for Nigerian youths that you know?
Okay, fine. So there are core key problems that we can leverage on ICT to solve, both locally here and globally. So one of the big problems has been data growth. So like the last seminar I had, I spoke with CBN executives, and we're looking at data size and how they can harness data size in making excellent leadership decisions. So data growth has just been so exponential since the dawn of times down to 2005. Humans have been able to generate a total of 103 exabytes of data, and there's a forecast for before 2050 we should be hitting 175 zettabytes of data. So the growth rate has just been very, very, very exponential. Even with COVID-19 that did fasten the pace of what we're currently experiencing with the data sets we've been gathering for a while. So we now have more video recordings, we now have more pictures, we have 3D files, VR and many other files. So data content and how to harness deep insights from this data is a very big challenge locally and globally. Understanding practical examples, understanding customers with a 360-degree view, understanding their attitudes, their dislikes, their likes, how spontaneous they are to changes, understanding past trends, current trends, and futuristic trends. So these are things we begin to look at when we're considering advanced analytics. So data content is a very big problem. Then over to the financial sector. Very core problems that exist in the financial sector. How can these financial organizations spot fraud in a very, very, very fast manner? So even as the fraud is currently happening, they are spotting it and they are disabling whatever transaction that is bringing about that fraud. So there's just a lot of application of technology, ICT in the area of finance, bringing it down to governance, transparency, bringing it down to agriculture. How can we enable these farmers with the right information they need? Like a startup, 40 Technology Solution was rendering service to, and they're trying to see how they can track the leaves and the diseases that applies to that particular leaf just by using their phone to scan the leaves, scan plants, scan seed. They can track whatever disease or sickness or pest. Scanning the soil, they can track the nutrient of the soil. So with this, computer-aided cognition can give these farmers a lot of information even before they can say they want to gather all of this information and send it to a lab or to a human professional. So in which we have very limited skilled professionals in that line. So you talk about the health sector, the health insurance locally is very poor. Yeah, so health insurance industry globally has really received a very low penetration from the ICT sector, but there has been a very good growth rate globally. Then locally, yeah, so adoption has been skewed. So but there are still a lot of potential opportunities for people to come using technology, health insurance. The old people, easy access to the hospitals. They can leveraging on telemedicine. Aside telemedicine, yeah, the hospitals can track whatever information about their patients remotely and begin to administer some aid even before bringing this patient down to the hospital. So there's a lot of application of ICT in the area of finance, area of governance, health, agriculture, and several other sectors. So like the data content, yeah, there's a very big problem with data, and due to the exponential growth, and there's a lot that ICT can do in not just telling us what is currently happening, but predicting futuristic occurrence for that particular data. So yes, these are some local and not just local content, but also global content that ICT can give a lot of benefit to.
Yeah, that's a lot of information there. Thank you very much. So there are opportunities for young people in ICT in the area of data analytics, in the area of application of ICT in health sector, in the finance sector, in business sector, and you have made us know that this is an area that we have not fully tapped into. We have not fully engage the youth to take these opportunities and build more on local content and create jobs for young people. So I'm still going to ask you a question on this ICT sector. So these opportunities are there, but we've not fully grasped them. So what do you think? Do you think we are doing enough? I mean, do you think the government is doing enough to through its agencies to create enabling environment for youth to come into ICT and grab one of these opportunities? Do you think the awareness is there? Do you think maybe the private sector needs to do more, or maybe it's government that needs to do more? And your organization, as one of the organizations providing solutions in the ICT sector in Nigeria, do you have skill acquisition programs for Nigerian youth to grab these opportunities that are there for them in the ICT sector?
Fine. So business survival for me in Nigeria, the entrepreneurs, the business themselves have to um, see how they can do a lot even without the aid of the government for survival. Yeah, so there are a lot of considerations for these businesses to have in mind. One of the first key things you want to talk about, oh, is this much of a problem, and what's the market size? Yeah, a lot of people have problem with the market size. They see the entire population of Nigeria as the market size and all of that. So you just have to understand the business antics, the sales down to marketing and all of that, in solving a lot of these problems. Then yeah, these problems have been existing. So government, we have very corrupt governments down here, who are just so self-centered, and like I said earlier, on nepotism, they keep. So we have the people who are not right to handle leadership positions, handling these leadership positions. So this brings a lot of problems. So government has really done nothing in line with this whole growth rate of the Nigerian population. Just like in the case of the xenophobia attack that happened a couple of months ago, and the protests, and yeah, I was somewhere around Body Thomas area, and you need to see how the children of the hungry were just so agitated, and they moved their bikes down to businesses like ShopRite, and these people were packing rice and packing soft drinks. Yeah, so it's a very big problem. We have a very large population of large population of Nigerians between 0 and 35, 39, very, very large population. Very, very large population, and this is a very big problem. So the government has done very little, even looking at what is happening. The government has just done very, very little. So businesses, individuals have to put in their own efforts, understand. Yeah, so firstly, looking at it locally, you want to understand what opportunities exist. Some of these opportunities, you can check out this information both from media's platforms like the NBS platform and many other platforms. And you want to see from federal allocations to state level. You want to see what governance is focused on and how to tap into it. You want to see what is happening currently in my state. You want to see problems being faced by businesses around you. How can you solve these problems? A lot of businesses want to cut costs. A lot of businesses want to maximize revenue, and these are key problems of business. So you want to look for these opportunities around you. And one of the advantage of technology is so technology doesn't totally displace whatever key thing you're using to solve that problem, but it serves as an enabler, giving some enabling advantage to whatever you're using to solve problem. So individuals and citizens have to look inward first. Then the next thing, so having and living in an economy with very unstable policies and very bad and corrupt governance. So everyone has to start looking towards that. Citizens of Nigerians need to look outward as well. You want to see how you can tap from the outward market, how you can leverage on stocks, how you can leverage on even the finance market. You're talking about cryptocurrency market. You're talking about the forex market, the exchange market that does a daily average volume of $6.6 trillion on a daily basis, average volume. So you want to see how you can even carry out some investments. You want to invest in Facebook, you want to invest in Google, you want to invest in some of these organizations, external economy. You want to see how you can begin to earn in foreign currencies. Yeah, so this thing just expands one ability for a better survival down here. So yeah, for Forte Technology Solutions, we have been pushing out lately a couple of skill training acquisition programs, and some of this has to do with cybersecurity. Ever since this whole, even before the COVID-19, yeah, more people are coming online, and we have more transactions coming online after this whole post-COVID era, and a lot of fraudulent activities, a lot of scammers, a lot of dirty dealings online. So people need to be more aware, organizations need to be more aware. There's a lot of cyber warfare currently ongoing. Then we're also pushing skills in the area of advanced analytics. Yeah, people need to see data, businesses need to see data, leaders need to see data from a 360 review, past, current, and futuristic. You want to be able to predict these things real time, like real time. So we're pushing a very, very exquisite skill for one who's going to be attending the advanced analytics program. Then also artificial intelligence. Now, this happens to be the big future where the world has gotten to an era of automation, and now we are going more into cognitive automation where machines are making a lot of decisions with little or no input. So we're taking out human out of the play and bringing in machines to help us do these things better, more accurately, even produce more output. And also these skills, yes, we are pushing with Forte Technology Solutions. Some of these programs are currently ongoing, and more like the artificial intelligence is going to be happening in January. It's going to be commencing January 5th, 2021. Yeah, so a lot of these things are happening, and it's a big one.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there is a lot there in terms of the ICT and also agriculture. There's a lot there for Nigerian youth to tap into. We're coming towards the end of this conversation. Currently, Nigerian future look bleak without oil revenue. That is a major source of revenue for the government. So amid this crippling coronavirus pandemic, demand for oil has crashed as global economies has been shut down since the beginning of this coronavirus pandemic, and the resulting steep drop in oil prices means that Nigeria is in currently painful familiar territory, low income, low revenue, and both of you, all of you have discussed opportunities in agriculture, in ICT. Let me, before I get your final thoughts on the program, let me quote Kofi Annan, the former United Nations Secretary General. He says, young people should be at the forefront of global change and innovation. Empowered, they can be the key agents for development and peace. If, however, they are left on society's margins, all of us will be impoverished. Let us ensure that all young people have every opportunity to participate fully in the lives of their society. So I'm going to get the final thoughts of each of you on what is the way forward right now in terms of what the government should be doing, or in terms of what private sector should be doing, or in terms of what Nigerian people should be doing, most especially the young Nigerians. So what is your final thoughts on what we should be looking at right now, looking at these challenges, looking at the opportunities that are there that we are not grabbing? So what are the things that we should be doing as a government, as stakeholders in these sectors, or as private individuals? Let me start with you, Mr. Folabi.
Yeah, thank you. I, for one, have been an advocate of skills acquisition. As a youth, we must begin to look beyond our formal education. Education is a continuous something, it's a continuous process. You should look outside the University of Polytechnic or wherever you had a tertiary degree in education and acquire more skills. With your skills, you tend to make more income. And there's this question I would actually like to ask people, right? So in order to buttress my point, how many of us are actually making a living from what you studied in university? How many of us? It is thing down to skill acquisition. In fact, me personally, if I'm using my own personal experience, I make more income from skills I acquired along the line more than the official work I'm doing presently. And that applies to most people. Even you see medical doctors, the owner of the popular food court in Ibadan is a medical doctor, doing something more productive than fine. Medical doctor, of course, is a good profession. I'm not despising any profession here. Don't coach me on. But of course, skills acquisition is a value-added thing. And but for me personally, that is the way the youth have to look into. Now, as regards to government, I'm advocate of foreign direct investment. Even if the government is useless, they should at least provide the enabling environment for people that want to invest in Nigeria. By the time people come and they invest in, they will create more opportunities, people will get employed, people will be trained, people will acquire more skills, and the people can be independent. They can tap from their own knowledge too, because they are not only bringing the money, they also bring in experience in which you can learn from them. And of course, to actually do one or two things there. So those are my only two suggestions for now. And I hope the youth, especially, they look into more of skills acquisition. Is very, very key. In fact, it's a survival strategy to me now in this country. It's a survival strategy. Because you come to think about it, even the musicians, the likes of Davido, sometimes when I flip through my DSTV channels, I go to music channels, what actually comes to my mind is that if these guys have not been able to develop these talents now, that land them at this profile, at this platform, what would they have been doing with their lives? And even 10, 20 years ago, would they be able to say that they are actually being wired to be a musician? And some of them are well educated. There's this popular, I'm sorry because I'm actually citing examples. There's this popular guy, TV anchor, the guy that anchor PB Niger, Luka Obi Uchendu. The guy is a trained lawyer. A trained lawyer. But can we say that he's really making it from his
law profession?
No. It's one of the best MC and compare we can have in this country, and he's doing brilliant period. So the looks will begin to look at all those little talents, and of course begin to actually develop themselves, improve their skills. If you can trade, try to improve your skills. If you can actually, if you're an artist or you have a natural talent in you that you can usually commercialize and make money out of it, I think it's time to begin to look at. And for our education system, like I said earlier, it did not really train us to be an entrepreneur. That is the problem. They are trained to look for government employment or private sector employment, and day by day they are reducing because the population is skyrocketing. The jobs are not there. How many companies do you see advertise? Even before they advertise, they already know who they want to pick. Because I've been the son of an MD or the friend to the MD or whatever. So the jobs are not there for common man. As a common man, you stand a better chance with your skills and talents than looking for government employment. So that's just my own solution.
Thank you very, very much. That's a very beautiful conclusion from you. So youth should start looking into skill acquisition, discovering skills they need to develop, acquire the skills and develop the skills. And the government should also help in the area of creating conducive environment for foreign direct investment. So those are beautiful conclusion from you. Let me get your own final contribution, Mr. Boboye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gideon. And I think a lot has been said here today. And I hope that the people that are listening will be able to process them and make informed decisions from all the information going out or coming out of the contributors to today's event. Before I make my final contribution, I would like to say that it's very important that changing. So therefore, when we are trying to acquire skills as young people, we must understand that there's a life cycle for every skill that you acquire. In 10 years ago, nobody employs a social media manager. But now, if you run an organization now, there's need for you to have a social media manager or somebody who is into graphics design and stuff like that, because that's the time that we are in now. So, and it's always going to change. So there's need for us to be strategic in understanding what are the skills. And there's a publication by the World Economic Forum talking about the future of work, and then talking about highlighting certain skills that be required. And there are publications talking about certain skills that will not be in high demand in the next 10, 20 years. And these skills that will be in high demand in the next 20 years. And as such, we can now begin to align ourselves appropriately to learn those skills. Like one of the panelists said, that education is a lifelong thing. So it's not something that's going to come to an end. So if you have a skill now and you're doing well for yourself, to stay relevant, there's need for you to acquire relevant skills to the future. Very, very important. I also like to say that recently we had a program whereby in collaboration with the US consulate here in Lagos, where we trained 30 unemployed young athletes with support from American Corner, Facebook Up, and UTIVA on a 10-month training that involves training and internship. And ultimately, they graduated last week, and their details will be uploaded on a hub called Project D-Hub. We have created a website for it, whereby businesses could, because we understand that there's no way to run a business if you don't have the right data that is telling you how the business is actually and the direction it's going, so that you can take the right step or make the right decision in relation to time. So we decided to look at this and create and help bridge that data gap for SMEs. So basically, that hub is there for people to go there. If you have need for data, some people don't even gather enough data. They don't have the framework to capture the data for their growth. So these are areas that businesses can also be looking at to also position themselves for future success. In my parting words, these are the few things I would like to say. Number one, all Nigerians must come to the realization that we have no other country apart from Nigeria. And that the decision to make Nigeria work is not the decision of America, London, or the European Union, or the Paris Club, but the decision of every Nigerian, starting from the president. There's need for us to understand that though some of us can have visa to travel abroad, we may not be able to lift the entire family, our relatives, our loved ones out of this country. And as such, in one way or the other, whatever happened in this country will still come back to us. So the issue is this. Whatever I'm doing, am I looking at the short-term gain or looking at the bigger picture and the long-term gain for the entire country? So it's very important that we understand that there's no place like Nigeria. And once that realization, we kick us into the realization to begin to put the best of us in the positions whereby they can affect the rest of us. Because we have a situation whereby the best of us are not put in a position where they can affect significantly the rest of us. They need a platform to express themselves and show their capacity to change the narrative of our country. Unfortunately, they don't have access. There's need for us to now have the understanding it is exigent and totally important at this point that we put our best foot forward in every area of our nation. And what would that mean? It will mean that we make better policies that will affect the general populace, make better policies and framework that will guide budding entrepreneurs and bet them into creating innovation and sustain them in a way and manner that can create larger value, much better value for the entire nation. It means that we need to now also begin to look at how do we handle public issues and public matters, especially the ones that affect all of us. Oftentimes when you approach any government offices or officials to sign a document, to process your tax, to register your stuff, to do one thing, to get one license or the other, it's usually a tug of war. Sometimes it takes longer than expected. And I can bet you, most cases, the amount quoted on the website to get a particular license is not what you are going to pay to get that particular license. These are some of the things that needs to change for people to be able to effectively carry out their businesses. we have to be deliberate about creating a social intervention fund like we are doing right now. We must acknowledge the fact that in the last 3 months, the federal government and some international donors have been doing a lot to ensure that businesses and young people have access to funds to start one enterprise or the other. I'm privileged to work on a particular project right now. I'm working as a consultant with UNDESA to oversee the implementation of NIEB, which is Nigeria Youth Employment Action Plan, which is supposed to have ended, which is supposed to be rounding up this year. Unfortunately, prior to this time, it was never implemented. However, due to advocacy of a particular group that we belong to and stuff like that, we were able to reactivate this particular project and get funding to be able to implement it. And now we are running a youth lab across the 36 states of the country to ensure that young people voices are heard to talk about what are their challenges, what are they facing, what are the limitations for them accessing decent work. So all of these things are major issues, but all of us have to come together and see how we can significantly affect the narrative of our businesses and train our young people to be able to work in the 21st century workplace. Because if you look at what's are offered in Nigerian universities and the curriculum right now, there's need for a total overhauling. Because majority of us, to be able to function well in the corporate sector, we have to go for a lot of training. This ought not to be. We're supposed to come out of work and be ready to work after spending 4 or 5 years in university. But trust me, if you get unemployment today, you're probably going to go for 3 months or 6 months training before you are ready to work. This is a useful, so that is why organizations that's why they always look for people that they know. Sometimes who have a superior education to fill up a crowd. Because funding, and you have to look at employee attrition. They leave. Once they get a job 1 or 2 years, they are looking for visa to Canada, visa to UK. I can't blame them. But see, it's a major challenge to businesses. In my office now, I have lost several people to US, to Canada, and many more will still go. Then you have to start all over again, get new staff, train them, get them to the level. And once they get to that level again, they are looking to go to Canada again. So for how long will this continue? So these are real life challenges that are facing us. These are my personal challenges as well as a consultant. Once you work with them, you train them for a while, and they are good. They are going. In all the other businesses where I work, we face similar challenges. The best of us are leaving. It's a problem. So we must come together and realize that if we don't fix Nigeria, nobody will fix Nigeria. And as much as foreign intervention is very good, there's no country that gets better through aid. No amount of aid Nigeria will get will make us better. Our collective action is required to come together and realize that whatever we are doing in our respective corners need to cascade into a bigger picture that can help the entire nation. We consult to support businesses because we believe that once they become better, they get more people. I hate unemployment, I hate poverty, but I can't employ everybody. That is why in our company, we are helping other businesses. End goal is that once they are better, they can employ more people. Once they employ more people, they reduce poverty. It will have implication on health because some of them will have access to HMO. It will reduce all the cases of insecurity will go down because we operate a communal setting in Nigeria. If you have a job, you will take care of your uncle, your auntie, your brother, and your sister. So if you don't have a job, your uncle, your auntie, your sister, they are not taken care of. So these are the real issues that are facing us. And oftentimes when we interface with these business owners, we see them. Some of them, it's difficult for them to grow their capital because as they are making the money, the people that they are spending the money on, there are lots. So there should be a social program to capture a lot of things that will take care of issues that will make it easy for somebody that's ready to take that decision to start a business. I have so many things to say, but because of our time, I would like to stop here. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Aboboye. That's a whole lot of information that you have pushed out there. So the key highlights from your contribution. Number one is that youth have to realize that skill acquisition is a continuous process, because every skills have a life cycle, and they should engage in skill acquisition programs as a continuous process to learn new skills that are relevant for today challenges. And you have also highlighted the need for Nigerians to know that Nigeria is their country and they have the key to fix the country, and that we should start looking at putting the best of us in positions of authority so that they can positively affect the lives of the rest of us. I think that is a very, very wonderful contribution. And you've also highlighted some of the work that your organization is doing currently to help aspiring business owners and existing business owners in Nigeria. Thank you very much for that contribution. Before we go, let me get the final contribution of Mr. Ebuka.
Okay, fine. A pleasure to be on this platform. So closing out from my own end, yeah, government has a major responsibility to play, even as the private sectors also have their own responsibility to play, and individuals as well. Enabling environment, like one of us has spoken, it's very, very important. Corruption, it's very, 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 very important. Corruption, yeah. So how can we solve these whole corruption problems? To get a deal, to get a project from the public sector, it passes through a lot of offices, and you can be aiming for a project that will cost about 38 million naira, and you'll be asked to turn the amount to 100 million naira. That those who need to collect, so this is all wrong. Yeah, so the number of bribe cases is just very, very high in Nigeria. So corruption, very, very important. Yeah, so government has to put measures as to curbing affairs around corruption and enabling environment. Then individuals and private sectors, like one of the speakers has said, um, skill acquisition has to be a continuous process. Back in the days, you go to university and you study a particular course, and it can take you for a lifetime. But lately, right now in 2020, you have to keep learning. You have to keep learning, solving today's problem today, solving tomorrow's problem today, and this is what defines success mindset. You're not just solving today's problem today, you're also solving tomorrow's problem today, and not guys in the African sector who are solving yesterday's problem today, we're still battling with some trains that are stopping in funny locations at night. So individuals have a role to play. The government has much more role to play, but we can't wait on this government. Equipping ourselves with the right skills and having that mindset of full ownership. So you have to have that ownership mindset. You must survive, and not just survive, you must affect a lot of businesses positively, add value. Yes, you as you add value, you make money, and people attached to you get to have a better means of livelihood. So yeah, all of those skill acquisition thing has a major role to play. Then on government part, as regards the population, government has a role to play as to curbing the population growth. It's very, very, very fast. So then the government needs to curb that population growth, either via sensitization. They just need to find the best way of curbing that population growth, curbing the population growth in Nigeria. So it's a very big problem. So government has a role, individuals and businesses have their own role, and I see a better time coming, irrespective of the whole negative norms and the funny looking data and all. I see a better time coming, and our generation is going to drive it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that closing remark. So thank you very much, Mr. Ebuka. You see a better better time coming, and our youths have to play key roles in this. So you've made us to know that it's a collective responsibility. The government has a role to play. We as citizens, we have roles to play, and we must all play our roles to make this country work. So thank to you, all my guest speakers on today's program, Mr. Folabi, the CEO of Afotit Nigerian Limited, Mr. Ebuka Obi, the CEO of Fueti Technology Solutions and Bloom Africa, and Mr. Baboya Adeniji, Managing Partner of Pest Consulting. So to our guests at home, our audience at home, if you are looking for business consultancy as an aspiring business owner or as an existing business owner, consult Pest Consulting for advice. And also, if you're in agricultural sector and you're doing something and you need consultancy or advice, Afotit Nigerian Limited is there for anything that has to do with IT solutions, technologies, ICT opportunities. Fueti Technology Solutions and Bloom Africa is there. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening, and see